Welcome to our session. The session will talk about bringing local businesses online. There's a tremendous percentage of local businesses that have no online presence in the Middle East whatsoever. And the challenge for these businesses is that they're missing out on a tremendous opportunity. It's our pleasure to have these panelists with us today who are doing different models for giving local businesses their first taste of the online world. I'm going to give them a chance to talk while I catch my breath. First, Alper.
Thanks, Omar. Nice to be here, first of all. Sorry, we are trying to localize, as you can see from my attire, but I haven't yet localized enough to speak Arabic. I apologize for that. We're working on it. Just if I touch briefly on the importance of local businesses and why they have to go online. We are here first, as my friend Abdurrahman Trabzuni was talking about in the morning session, we believe in this market because of its strong fundamentals. And if you look at the market, Saudi overall for the segment that we're interested in has about half the purchasing power of all of MENA. That's why we are here. And of that purchasing power, you'd be surprised how high a percentage is actually spent on local businesses. There are two main trends happening in the world. One is what I call glocalization. So we've been talking for the last decade about globalization. In fact, what's really happening is glocalization. These global brands are coming and setting up shop across the planet, here in Saudi as well, but they are having a local approach. So they're pressuring the local businesses from their international know-how and expertise. On the other side, these offline SMEs, the local businesses, are seeing pressure to move online so they can increase their influence, they can fight back, and I call that hyper-localization. This is enabled by internet. Why? Because suddenly the reach is much cheaper. You don't have to have huge above-the-line marketing budgets to reach out to your customers. And we believe in this journey. So we believe in the market, we believe in this offline to online journey. As Fursati, we are a business that's based here in Saudi because we believe in the market. And what we're doing is essentially setting up an online presence for most of our customers for the first time. We are a daily deal company. We are a bit different. Maybe we'll touch on that a bit later. But if we survey the merchants that we promote online, 95% of them don't have any presence online at all. And we bring them for the first time on the web. And how we do that, we actually start with consulting. We go to them and tell them that the journey, the online journey, is different than the offline journey. And we convince them that they have to do something online and what the impact can be on their brand, on their business. And then we help them develop offers that are unique to their online presence. We don't stop there. We then go with our own internal creative team, create the creative, the material that we're going to publish, and then we go publish them. We do all of this at zero cost to them. The only thing they have to agree with is that they provide an incredible deal for us to share with our end customers. And if they sell, we get a share of the pie. So in short, Saudi is an incredible market for us. That's why we are here. That's why I now wear a thobe. We love this market. We see huge potential in it. Going local is a must. If you think of your purchases, you're spending over 90% of your riyals on local businesses, and those local businesses have to go online because of the pressure coming from the global companies, and we are part of that game.
Omar?
Yes, so I'm going to try to, Assalamu alaikum first of all. I'm going to try to tell you the story of local through the story of Jiran. As you know, we've been a blog network for a big part of our existence. But in 2010, we've noticed a trend that a lot of the content in our part of the world is missing, especially local content. So we thought instead of trying to compete with Blogger or compete with YouTube or any of these existing channels, let's do something that we can only do, something that hasn't existed, and something that it takes locals to really excel at. And comes the local content. Of course, now in 2012, it looks kind of obvious, but back then there was Foursquare wasn't really known. Sites like Yelp were not that famous. But it really goes back to wanting to offer value on a local level that didn't exist. So this is what we started doing in Jiran. So we went with, as Apple was saying, the hyper-local approach, which is not even really focusing on a country level, but really focusing on a city level. And we started in Jordan, and then we, as a pilot, and now we're really tackling, this huge market, which is of Saudi Arabia. We're currently in 10 cities and looking to expand even to additional 6 cities as we continue to add more and more businesses. Our approach to engagement with businesses is through content, and it's content that's generated by users. So think of reviews, for example, photos being added, or even places that are being added by the users themselves. Another approach we're doing is the interaction with the businesses. So instead of just having a one-sided conversation where users write reviews, we're also working with businesses to actually respond to these reviews. So right now on Jiran, you have places like Romansiyeh, Ammu Hamza. All these places are actually not only on Jiran but responding to customers on our platform. Local is really the way to go in terms of building valuable content. In the section before it, there was someone was asked, what apps do you use? And they mentioned Jiran. Of course, I really like that, but it just signifies, don't think of it as Jiran, think of it as, local. As Alper was saying, 90% of our interactions are with local businesses. So that will translate to the types of apps you use, the types of sites you visit, and eventually the types of transactions that you will be doing.
Great. So we're saying 90% of your transactions are with businesses that have no online presence. So you go to them and you say, hey, let me help you get online. And then I'm sure most of them are saying to you, you're crazy, or why should I do this? Or how do you convince a business that is very traditional? Maybe sometimes the business owner doesn't himself use the internet. How do you convince him that this is the right thing to do?
If I take that first, we've actually found it relatively easy. I think a lot of work has been done over the last 5-6 years, and the market is informed in general, from the manager of a restaurant to even the wait staff at a restaurant. Everybody knows the importance of internet. The managers usually are connected themselves. They know the value, they see the advertisements, they maybe even purchase themselves. They may not be online, and the main reason is 2 things. One, they don't know how to. They don't have the capability to do it themselves, and they don't know who to go to. There's not a blueprint or a booklet on how to go online for SMEs, for Riyadh, for example. Second, they don't have the marketing budget. It's not, in their manager's point of view, it's not yet a spending item line for most SMEs here. So what we do when we go to them and say, look, we'll do this, and look at the examples. If you go to fursati.com, you'll see it's very colorful, very rich content that we generate for each one of our merchants. When we show it to them and we say, we'll do this for you for free, it's relatively, after that, easy job for us.
Well, maybe then that's a wrong question. How do you compete with someone like Facebook? I mean, a lot of local businesses, their first experience is, okay, I don't have the time to build a website, I'll just put a Facebook page. And maybe this is a question for you as well. I mean, people are commenting, you're in the business of reviews, getting people to review businesses online. And I mean, today, a lot of people's first experience with businesses is on Facebook.
True. First, I'd like to just say a general statement about small business owners. They're really motivated. I mean, we deal with the big spenders and enterprises such as banks and telecoms. And you notice the difference when you're dealing with a small business owner is that they really care and they really want to learn, and they want every riyal they spend to get an ROI. How do you get them to engage? Is the approach we've taken is, look, your customers are here, they're writing things about you. Are you going to respond? And naturally, everybody wants to be on Facebook, wants to have a presence, and wants to engage with customers on Facebook. But customers themselves have figured out, if I write on the wall of a business and the business doesn't like it, they just delete it. So consumers have figured out that Facebook pages of businesses are not a neutral place to write reviews or write comments. So sites like Jiran exist where we are a neutral party and just content can be deleted. And after that, after the consumers come, businesses really follow, because the businesses that care want to make sure that they respond to and interact with their own customers, regardless of the kind of feedback. So this is what we have going for us.
Actually, this is a great question, because my next question was, how do you keep people engaged? How do you keep people coming back, whether it's to a deal or whether it's to a review site? And more specifically, Omar, first, let's talk about user-generated culture in the Arab world. We see a lot of people posting clips on YouTube, less people reviewing things or of that nature. How do you get people to write?
Yeah, well, the session before that was, I guess there was people complaining about people not reading. Well, imagine writing. So it's even a bigger challenge, but it's not impossible. And usually you should be attracted to big problems, because with big problems will come big rewards. So we work with a local community teams on the ground to engage with users and tell them that writing reviews is important. There's a lot of cultural elements and religious elements that we actually use to convince people about the importance of writing reviews.
What kind of religious elements?
There's a prophet saying إماطة الأذى عن الطريق صدقة. Well, you know what? Writing a review is إماطة الأذى عن الطريق. So there's a lot of things that you can actually use to convince people to help and write content. But it's not easy. It's hard because generating rich content takes effort, takes time, and people want to just really just upload a picture. But this is where we work with the local community to engage users and educate them and help them see the value, whether it's to them or to the business. And it's a slow but organic process where you eventually see growth.
So, yeah, go ahead.
For us, I think engagement is a bit different in that we're actually selling something. So we're way down the funnel, and when you're actually doing the sales, you have to have a good product, and that drives a lot of your engagement. So the quality of our deals and how much what we call super deals or wow deals we can get really meters the engagement level. Then the other thing we're trying to do is we have brand values. Our brand is very local, it's very friendly. Our copywriting is as well friendly. We try to be a bit personal with the consumer. And finally, it's doing the tough job. When you have a customer, they actually spend money on you. You have to go and give them good customer service to keep them engaged, keep them coming back.
So this is why I was going to ask you a different question, because it's slightly different. Which comes first? And maybe both of you can answer this. Audience or businesses, right? So you're going to go to a business and say, I'm going to get you to this audience. Or you come and respond to reviewers because people actually are reading or caring. Which comes first, and how do you get that process moving?
What comes first is the audience, is the consumers. In our model, we say, get the consumers, and where the consumers are, the businesses will follow. And getting the consumers is not an easy thing, compared to businesses where, you'd say you have 1,000 business in a certain sector, and you say, I'm going to set up meetings with all of them. But you can't do that with, 3 million internet users in Riyadh alone. So it starts with small efforts where you engage customers, and then businesses notice that, and then they come. For us, it has been consumers first.
Okay.
We had to do a bit the opposite. Again, because we're different parts in the ecosystem, for us, without the great deal, it's difficult to get any audience to come and look at you. And
I would say your content is the great deal. So so set up your content. You have to have
exactly
business interaction too, because this is the content that people will come
Right,
for.
but why would they give you a great deal if there are not enough people who are going to buy it?
Because we are risk-free, right? We are. It's nothing out of your pocket. It's no headache to you if you do not sell. So when we first started, we started about 7 months ago. We had very little customer base. We're doing fine right now.
Did you buy some lists?
No, we did not, actually. We did not. Maybe we should have. I'd love to hear people's opinions maybe after the event. But we did not. We grew with Facebook early on. We did some promotions. And the thing that we really cared about was getting the good merchant with the good deals. And that really helped us grow. Once you have that, the customers come. And yes, you have to spend on online marketing. Yes, you have to do word of mouth. The thing that we really are concentrating on is having the right partnerships. So deal with the right parties that have long reach, that have long arms into the market, and get them as partners and co-market with us. That's been part of our approach. But we're very much partner-centric and merchant-centric. So we care about the merchant, and we want to attract them in, and we care about the other partners. Like we have a partnership with Saab Bank, for example. We do Saab special Saturdays. Every Saturday you get special deal if you're a Saab customer. We get them in, and when we have those brands, those deals in, the customers follow. And I think that's the more efficient marketing methodology for us to use where we are in the ecosystem.
So do you guys do local, I mean, both of you are talking a lot about local, right? You're offline, online businesses in some ways. Do you do local activities, events? Do you have strategies like having local representatives in different markets? Can you tell us about any of this kind of stuff that you do? Even gamification, if you do any gamification. I mean, this is how Yelp got really big.
Sure. We haven't gotten into gamification yet, but our approach with local is localization on every single front. So one of the big themes in Saudi currently is Saudi. Even if there was no Saudi emphasis, we cannot operate without having local people just working. So our first step is having local community managers in each of the cities that we operate in. And I can tell you the difference that it makes in the type of content. For example, when I come here, I usually hang out with the expat community. So I've been coming to Riyadh for many years. But since we launched Jiran, I started using Jiran to discover some of the places. And the places that I've found out are completely different than the places of my expat friends usually hang out at. And it just tells you the reflection of the importance of having the local partners run the show and drive the content. And for us, meetups have been really important. And in Saudi, it has been challenging in the sense that you have to have a male track and a female track. But this is part of the part of being
what happens
local.
at a meetup?
Meetup, really, we focus on first having fun, really, just meeting interesting people from various backgrounds. And the small part is education, talking about the importance of reviews, how to write a helpful review, and talk about some of the new places that have opened. And restaurants are usually the easy part, but it's just 1 out of 20 categories that we do. So we push people to write reviews on doctors, on mechanics, on schools, all of these things that you really need help with to interact on in your daily life.
For us, I guess the most important part of us going local is actually being local. Our office is walking distance from here. We intentionally set up shop here in Riyadh because we know that if you're going to get to know the local customer, if you're going to deal with the local merchants, it matters. I agree that once I started attending majlises, once I started having dinner with Saudi friends, the merchants, our partners, I started learning much more. Our team started learning much more about what to provide as deals, how to attract more customers. So most important for us is we are actually local. So now we're in Riyadh. We started here. Then in July we went to Jeddah, and 2 months ago we started in Dammam as well. And as far as local activities, it's something that we want to do. Have we done enough? No. But before you get your brand to a certain awareness level, the payoff for, let's say, having an event at a mall with promoters is too expensive, we find still. Once we get to a certain critical mass, I think it's going to make much more sense. We can attract our current base to these events and actually engage them much more effectively. Gamification, I can give you hints of what's going to happen. If you look at our logo has a lamp. We do want, in time, once we know our customers better, once we interact with them enough, our CRM system is set up so that we will be able to offer to them things that they really care about. Right now, like most daily deal companies out there, the way we engage is daily newsletters. And we realize that's not sustainable. And what we have to do is gear towards the wishes of, between, wishes of, Aisha, between Muhammad and Ibrahim. We have to offer different things to them because they are different people. The lamp in time is going to offer you those different wishes. But for us to be able to do that, we can't start that day zero because we don't know you enough. In time, when we get to know you, when we watch out for your interactions, we're going to build that gamification in.
Omar, a question for you. One of the main things that I hear from advertisers, and you can tell me if this is not your main revenue stream, but I think it is that they don't like advertising on user-generated content. What is your response to this?
Yeah, of course, it is one of the complaints initially that we had with advertisers. And I think it's just a simple education journey where you have to tell them, look, this is not your internet anymore. It's the people's internet. And a lot of the content that's being generated and consumed, if you look at the latest trends worldwide, whether it's Facebook and Twitter, it is user-generated. So you have to adapt to this new reality and market your message. I mean, for us, how do you convince a bank to advertise on a platform where their own customers can be criticizing them, which is challenging? But it's the new reality where you have to be able to, as a marketing department, where you have to be able to, deal with these things and actually, take this opportunity to show how that you're very engaged as a brand and you're fine with people criticizing you and you're actually dealing with it. I think the people who embrace this reality, the brands that embrace this new reality, are the brands that will eventually, conquer and get the results earlier on.
I agree. Alper, the group buying business model has faced a lot of challenges. I mean, the whole question of the business model making sense. What do you say to this? I mean, we have GoNabit, who was acquired and then essentially
Closed shop.
Closed. Yeah. So why are you in the group buying business if it's maybe not such a great business?
So first, the model has changed. I would not call it group buying anymore. What we do is not group buying, and even what Groupon does is not really group buying anymore. So I think it's a terminology thing, but I just want to get your attention to the fact that it's a daily deal business. We do not force people to come in masses, and if only 100 people purchase, the deal is on. Frankly, nobody is doing that anymore. I think that was something that was much more. It was the buzz that Groupon early on generated, but frankly, if you look at the numbers that you have to get to turn on a deal, they're usually very low and very achievable. What we do is daily deals, and I do stand by the business model, but for the right version of it. It's pure economics. If you look at businesses where the marginal cost is very low or zero, but what I mean by marginal cost is the cost for the merchant to deliver that one more product or one more service. If it's very low, or if it's zero, then this model really makes sense. Example would be a barbershop. If a barbershop is operating at 20% capacity, really the cost of cutting a head of hair is zero. The extra cost to the barbershop of cutting a head of hair is zero. They can sit there, all the fixed cost is there. If they give that to us at 50%, they still make money. Everything they bring in goes to the bottom line. So for those businesses, and this is true about restaurants, what is the cost of the meat that you ate at a steakhouse? It's very low compared to the price that they charge.
Unless it's a Wagyu burger.
Oh, Wagyu aside, for many of these businesses that we deal with day to day, that marginal cost is low. And I challenge my team to go and find those kinds of businesses where it makes sense and the merchants keep coming back to us because they will make money only in that case. Yes, we do have electronics. Today you can go and buy a Lotus car. Yes, the Lotus car does not have a very low marginal cost. It costs a lot to make the next Lotus car. Those we use, they bring in the customers, they entertain the customers, and they know that by doing these things, they know that we're innovative, we're outside of the box thinkers. I can tell you, I don't think anybody, any daily deal site in the world is selling sports cars. We sold a Bentley. We had only one. It was a great deal, 32% off. We have Lotus now, I think it's 36% off, and it really is 36% off. We don't jack up the price and lower it. We can't base our business just on those things because the marginal cost is high. If you look at the other categories like beauty, wellness, food, services, those, I believe, are sustainable. And how do we know it's sustainable? Hilton, for example, is a partner to us, a merchant partner to us. They keep coming back, right? Most of our, I can say most, we haven't done the analysis, but most of our merchants want to sign up with us again because of this analysis of, what is their marginal cost. So the model, we are very different than Living Social or Groupon. We don't have any goals of conquering the world. Our headcount is not 500. I think Living Social, GoNabit was a very good business. If you ask me, their headcount had grown a bit too much. Their burn rate was quite high. I don't know the details. But what we know is that what we're doing here and what we hear from the merchants and the end users is a sustainable model.
Okay, great. I am going to ask you both to wrap up with some closing statements, any statistics that you have to share, anything that you want to say, particularly about the Saudi market. I'm going to try to not take questions for the moment because we're running late, but if you have something that you'd like to share.
Omar, actually, I'd like to hear from the audience. It's better than our closing remarks.
Yeah,
okay, sure.
I agree.
Who would you like to, would anyone like to ask some questions? Questions, anyone?
Were we really that clear? We should have maybe seeded some questions.
There's a question right there.
You guys touched based on gamification. Can you give us some examples? Are you going to build it on the regular infrastructure, or are you going to build something different? Especially, Albert, when you touched based on.
It is, to us, gamification. The case study is Foursquare, right? In fact, right now that they've gotten to be massively adapted.
Yeah, but just for, you touched base right now on Foursquare. Foursquare is kind of hollow when it comes to the gamification experience because you get badge and that's it. But are you touching base on loyalty programs?
So what we're going to do, without giving too much, of not spilling the beans in the lobby too way ahead of time. Essentially, there are two things that we're considering. One is similar to badge, for doing certain actions. And for coming back, for checking us out, for reading about us, for writing reviews, we want to give people virtual awards. That works. Why does it work? I don't know. But I love being the mayor of Terminal 2 in Dubai Airport. Why? I don't know. But it works, something about human psychology, and we want to implement that in time. Second is a more meaty loyalty program where when you purchase, when you recommend us, when you get us more customers, yes, you are going to have financial and real product and service returns to you. And that is something that we are building in-house. It's part of our strategy to have all our development done in-house. We did not use some platform, some other place for our current business, and we don't want to do it for the gamification either. We may get some consulting for that because it is very specific know-how, but we want to have the development done in-house and own our own back office, if you will. So.
Omar, do you have any plans for gamification?
Yes, gamification is important because you have to think of gamification as education for your consumers, for your users on the site. And every site or brand does want to educate people on how to use their site. So it's not just a game, it's actually for people to reward people for the proper behavior, and that's important, and we will also be getting into that, and probably it will have something along the lines of loyalty, rewarding loyalty and rewarding usage.
Other questions from the audience?
From the right
Ladies?
side.
guys want to have any closing remarks? You mentioned you wanted to share some statistics, maybe.
Statistics, I think, you know, when it
I
comes
love
to
statistics, so any statistics that you could give us would be great.
1 + 1 = 2. And
I think that's arithmetic, not
yes.
statistics.
Most
So-
of the time, it's equal.
Most of the time. Actually, one thing that's really impressive about the Saudi market for those of you who want to build something or thinking of taking it on is the impressive number of mobile, you know, transaction, mobile usage. I think everybody's just caught by surprise about, you know, the constant climb of mobile. And recently we've seen Android take a huge growth, you know, just in the last 3 months. You know, even though that our own Android app is not as developed as the iPhone app, but we're going to be, you know, probably towards the end of the year, more Android users are going to be using the site, than iPhone. So whatever you want to be doing in Saudi Arabia, there has to be a mobile aspect to it, and possibly in at least 50% of the cases, it should be only, you know, mobile usage. You know, we've got some of our users telling us that, you know, how come I can't write reviews on the site? I don't even use a computer anymore. Everything should be available on the mobile app. And I think that's going to apply some more and more as we move along.
As final remark, I would just like to make a challenge to especially the younger part of the audience. We see coming from outside and trying to localize. We live here for some 5-6 years now. We see the huge potential of this market. It is really an incredible opportunity. If you are Saudi, if you are young, if you live here, grasp this opportunity. Make this ArabNet Riyadh conference a turning point in your life. Really, we had to come from abroad, you know, and see this opportunity. By chance, we ran into it, if you will. You live here, you have a great advantage over us, and make this a turning point in your life. Quit your job. If you don't have a job, start one of your own. If you don't have a big dream, go work for a dreamer. We need young talent, you know, local talent to come join companies like us, or be, you know, part of the ecosystem, work alongside us, so we can have this explosive growth even faster. So that would be my one recommendation. So, thanks.
And a great note to end the panel on. Thank you very much for my panelists. They'll also be here. I think both of them will be outside and around, so thank you very much for joining us.